We got to talk about Terrence Bud Crawford, Turki Alalshikh, and Canelo Alvarez.
He want 200 million for Benavidez, and he want 150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his legacy, because it would be crazy for a guy that started at 135 to come all the way up to 168, your weight, no catch weight, no none of that, and dethrone you.
Terrence Bud Crawford, fresh off his dominant win against Madrimov, just fired back at Canelo Alvarez in a way that has everyone talking.
But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money.
It all started when Turki Alalshikh, the Saudi sports minister, stirred the pot by offering Canelo a huge payday to face Crawford. But Canelo wasn't impressed, dismissing the idea by calling Crawford an easy fight and easy money. Well, Bud wasn't about to let that slide. During a recent video interview, Terrence Crawford spoke about not being able to secure the fight he was looking for against Canelo Alvarez. Crawford gave his reaction and pointed out Canelo's hypocrisy and excuses, all of which he took as a sign of respect. The Mexican superstar, speaking on Box Azteca, said flatly no when asked if he would fight Crawford. Now, a fight between these two modern-day greats was far from anything like a certainty, and plenty of fans and experts felt Crawford would not take a fight with Canelo at 168 pounds. No way. But there was some talk that Crawford might go for the ultimate and challenge Canelo. Now, the fight has been shot down by Alvarez, with Canelo saying he would have everything to lose and nothing to gain in a fight with Bud. Canelo said when asked if he would ever fight Crawford, "Yes, I could make a lot of money from the fight, but they are going to criticize me. And that's it. They love it. They criticized me because I fought Jermell Charlo, who gained weight, who is bigger than me, because I'm a small fighter for these weights, and because he gained weight, but they didn't criticize him when I went up in weight. So now, if you imagine Crawford as a welterweight, 168 pounds, I have everything to lose and nothing to gain, because if I win, they'll say, oh, he was too small and everything." Canelo acknowledged that while a fight with Crawford could be financially lucrative, the criticism he would face from moving up in weight and fighting a smaller opponent could overshadow any potential benefits. On the other hand, Bud Crawford went on to express his thoughts about Canelo's comments in the media, and let's just say, he didn't mince words. Crawford stated in an interview, "To be honest, that was my motivation fight." After dominating the welterweight division and becoming the undisputed champion, Terrence Bud Crawford had his eyes set on even bigger challenges. And with talks of a potential mega fight against Canelo Alvarez were circulating, Crawford wasn't just motivated, he's fired up. Crawford said, "It's crazy and it makes me laugh with all the antics that Canelo is doing and saying in the media and whatnot about the size and he won't get no credit and all these types of things. But Canelo been fighting smaller guys his whole career." Crawford's words cut deep, challenging the narrative that Canelo has been pushing about size and credibility. He's making it clear that he's not just another name on Canelo's resume. He's a true champion who's ready to face any challenge, regardless of weight or reputation. Crawford also added, "Canelo been making his own catchweight for years. Canelo fought a smaller Mayweather. Canelo fought a smaller Amir Khan. He fought Jermell Charlo. And I'm pretty sure he didn't make as much money with all those guys, except Mayweather. Even Berlanga right now, that he will with me. He has all these excuses why he don't want to make a fight with me." Crawford is pointing out a recurring pattern in Canelo's career, facing smaller opponents and setting catchweights that favor him. By mentioning past fights with smaller fighters like Mayweather, Amir Khan, and Jermell Charlo, Crawford is challenging Canelo's credibility and calling out the excuses he's made for not wanting to fight him. Crawford said, "If it's all about business, then you're doing good business. If I'm easy work, you would take all that money that he's offering you. But he want $200 for Benavidez, and he want $150 to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his legacy. Because it would be crazy for a guy who started at 135 to come all the way up to 168, your weight, no catch weight or none of that, and dethrone you." Crawford is making it clear that Canelo's high financial demands for potential fights with Benavidez and himself indicate more than just business strategy. They reveal Canelo sees Crawford as a genuine threat. Crawford also said, so he got that in the back of his head. This guy, for one, he's tough. For two, he's a boxer. He moves, he can punch, he can do it all. I can't slip up and lose to this guy. Then what would my fans think of me? What would my Mexican people think of me? So it's a big risk for him, like he said. He don't get nothing out of it, but he does get a lot out of it. None of those guys were pound for pound best fighter in the world that he fought when he was coming up in weight. Crawford believes that Canelo is fully aware of the challenge he poses. A tough, versatile fighter who can box, move, and punch. Crawford suggests that this fear of disappointing his fans, especially the Mexican community, is why Canelo views the fight as such a significant risk. He concluded, "So it just goes to show the level of respect. I look at it as respect that he gives me. I don't look at it as disrespect. I look at it as the level of respect he thinks of me as a fighter." Crawford interprets Canelo's hesitation and high demands for a potential fight as a sign of respect rather than disrespect. He recognizes that Canelo views him as a serious threat, which is why he demands such a substantial payout. Following Crawford's perspective on Canelo's actions as a form of respect, the situation took another turn when Turki Alalshikh, the Saudi sports minister, weighed in on the matter. In a strongly worded response on X, Turki didn't hold back his thoughts on Canelo's decision to turn down the fight with Crawford. Turki wrote, "I heard what Canelo said, that he respects me but doesn't like the way we do business. As for him respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or not." This statement makes it clear that Turki isn't concerned with whether or not Canelo respects him. His focus is on the bigger picture, making impactful fights happen, regardless of personal feelings. He continued, "As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it, because I only target big fights at fair prices, so of course anyone who likes easy fights won't like that, and I know how he feels after losing to Bivol, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since." Here, Turki is pointing out that Canelo's reluctance stems from a desire to avoid risky fights, particularly after his loss to Dimitri Bivol. Turki's approach to promoting big, meaningful bouts at fair prices directly contrasts with what he sees as Canelo's preference for safer, less challenging matchups. Turki concluded his post with, "Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez or Crawford. Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid. So I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show-only fights." In this final part, Turki clearly states that he isn't the one avoiding tough opponents like Benavidez or Crawford. He accuses Canelo of wasting time with unrealistic financial demands, while reaffirming his commitment to organizing meaningful fights that contribute to the sport, as opposed to what he views as Canelo's pursuit of easier, less significant matchups. With tensions clearly rising between Canelo and Turki Alalshikh, Canelo Alvarez responded to Turki's remarks, offering his own perspective on the situation. Addressing the rumors and speculations surrounding the potential fight with Terence Crawford, Canelo clarified his stance in a recent statement. Canelo said, "I'm not asking for that fight. I think Teofimo Lopez deserves it more than me." In this statement, Canelo deflects the idea of fighting Crawford, suggesting that someone like Teofimo Lopez is more deserving of such a matchup. This could be interpreted as Canelo downplaying the significance of a Crawford fight or possibly redirecting attention away from the scrutiny he's faced. He went on to explain his position further. "My response to Turki is this. Yesterday, they text me to talk about the Crawford fight in February, and I said, I'm not going to talk about any other fight. I'm focused 100% on this Edgar Berlanga fight." Here, Canelo is emphasizing that his current focus is solely on his upcoming fight with Edgar Berlanga, indicating that any discussions about future opponents, including Crawford, are premature and not his priority at the moment. Canelo concluded with a pointed remark, "I respect Turki, but if he wants to work with me, it needs to be my way." This comment underscores Canelo's stance that while he respects Turki, any collaboration between them must align with his terms and conditions. It suggests that Canelo is not willing to bend or be pressured into fights or negotiations that don't suit his current plans or preferences. Following Canelo's response to Turki Alalshikh, Oscar De La Hoya also weighed in on the situation, offering his perspective on the challenges of making big fights in the boxing world. De La Hoya, known for his experience as both a fighter and a promoter, shared his thoughts on Turki's efforts to organize major bouts and the difficulties that arise when fighters demand excessive pay. De La Hoya began by expressing his respect for Turki's approach. "The one thing that I respect about His Excellency and Turki is that he wants to make the best fights. That's basically it. And a lot of fighters, they outprice themselves, therefore the fans lose, and we can't watch those fights." In this first part of his statement, De La Hoya highlights the frustration that many in the boxing community feel when top-tier matchups don't materialize because fighters demand more money than what is reasonable. He appreciates Turki's commitment to making the best fights happen, which is something fans crave but often miss out on due to financial disputes. He continued, "But now Turki's coming in, paying money, but he's not paying absurd amounts of money that fighters are not worth. He's being reasonable. He's paying premiums. But a perfect example is Canelo wanting $200 million to fight against Crawford. In other words, that means he doesn't want to fight. That's basically it. So I just feel that Turki is a breath of fresh air. He's making the fights that people want to see, and we're all working together. De La Hoya directly addresses the situation with Canelo, suggesting that Canelo's demand for $200 million to fight Crawford clearly indicates that he's not genuinely interested in the fight. De La Hoya praises Turki for his balanced approach to fighter pay, which, in his view, contrasts sharply with Canelo's demands. He concludes by expressing optimism about working with Turki to bring the best matchups to the fans, framing Turki as a positive force in the sport committed to making the fights that truly matter.
Turki wants to make the best fights. And that's a breath of fresh air. That's music to my ears. You know, because now you have fighters who are pricing themselves out and fighters who basically don't want to fight each other. And that, to me, as a promoter, is the worst thing I can ever hear from a fighter.
Following Canelo's recent comments about Turki Alalshikh, Oscar De La Hoya stepped in to discuss the situation further, particularly focusing on Turki's role in the boxing world. De La Hoya began by noting the frustration with Canelo's reluctance to engage in meaningful fights. So basically, Canelo doesn't want to give us the good fights. When you have Turki who is making the best fights, who literally wants to make the best fights and he's forking over the bill, be my guest, please make more. It's great for boxing. He's literally saving boxing. In this part of his statement, De La Hoya contrasts Canelo's stance with Turki's proactive approach. He emphasizes that Turki is committed to organizing significant matchups and is willing to invest heavily to make it happen, which he believes is a major boon for the sport. De La Hoya concluded by praising Turki as a crucial figure in boxing. This is what I've been talking about all along. He's a savior to the sport. He has deep pockets, obviously, and he wants to make the best fights happen. Here, De La Hoya reinforces his admiration for Turki, framing him as a transformative force in boxing. He commends Turki for his financial support and dedication to creating the high-profile fights that fans and the sport need. Oscar De La Hoya didn't hesitate to express his frustration with Canelo Alvarez. Reflecting on the current state of high-profile boxing matchups, De La Hoya made a striking statement. "I thought I would never say this, but Canelo's scared. Literally, I thought I would never say that as a fighter. I know fighters are not scared, but wow." De La Hoya reveals his disbelief and disappointment at Canelo's reluctance to take on challenging fights. He emphasizes that despite his respect for fighters, Canelo's avoidance of key matchups contradicts the spirit of competition and bravery that defines the sport. De La Hoya continued, "We've been begging Canelo, please. We want this fight. I want it as a fan, and I want this fight because it's a great fight for boxing, for the sport we love." Here, De La Hoya expresses his personal desire for the fight and the broader appeal of such a matchup. He underscores the importance of the fight for boxing fans and the sport as a whole, stressing that it would be a significant and exciting event. He concluded with, "Turki's making the best fights, and Canelo's not giving us the best fights." De La Hoya contrasts Turki Alalshikh's efforts to promote meaningful fights with Canelo's perceived reluctance to participate in them. He argues that while Turki is actively working to bring exciting matchups to the sport, Canelo's actions are falling short of what fans and the sport need.
Look, it's all ego. It's all just being arrogant. You know, come on, just get paid. It's going to be the biggest payday of your career anyway. Not just what you're asking. But, man, we need this fight. Boxing needs this fight.
Oscar De La Hoya also expressed skepticism about Terence Crawford's chances against Canelo Alvarez, citing historical patterns in boxing. He said, "I mean, come on. When has a smaller good guy ever beaten a good bigger guy? It's never happened in the history of the sport. You know, it doesn't happen. Rare occasions." De La Hoya is questioning the likelihood of Crawford moving up in weight to challenge a larger and highly skilled fighter like Canelo, succeeding in such a scenario. He points out that historically, smaller fighters have rarely overcome their larger, more powerful counterparts, suggesting that the odds would be against Crawford in this potential matchup.
Did you feel Crawford won, in your opinion, Oscar?
I literally didn't see it.
Oh yeah, that's right. You left after the Pitbull riot.
I didn't see it carefully, but a lot of people tell me that it was a close fight. It was very close. Look, I've always said that you have to beat the champion to become the champion. I'm not sure how close it was, but look, he got the win. He got the W. Move on to the next big thing, and you know, whatever's up in his future is going to determine. Well, this Saturday night will determine what's at stake for Virgil's future and for Crawford's future.
In this way, he also commented on the questions raised on the previous fight of Crawford with Madrimov. Terence Crawford became a 4-weight world champion this month by beating Israel Madrimov, and an offer was made to Saul Canelo Alvarez to face him next. The 36-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska, had made it clear that facing the Mexican, a further 2 divisions up, was his ultimate goal. Still, Riyadh Season's Turki Alalshikh promptly rescinded the offer he sent. Canelo believes it was because he turned down the opportunity to meet and discuss the fight in favor of focusing on his unified title defense against Edgar Berlanga on September 14th. Alalshikh says the Mexican, also a 4-division champ, fears big challenges and only wants show fights. During an interview with the Porterway podcast, Bud Crawford was asked who he may look to face next instead, and his answer was WBC and WBO 154 champion Sebastian Fundora. Crawford stated, "It would definitely be Fundora if him and Errol Spence don't fight. It would definitely be Fundora." Despite being initially called to face Crawford when he had decided to move up in weight, 6'5" Fundora had instead entered talks with Errol Spence Jr., the man Crawford beat to become undisputed 1 division down. There has been some talk of potential retirement for Spence instead, but Fundora, speaking in an interview, hinted that there would be an announcement as to that fight soon, confirming Crawford was not in his immediate plan. Fundora stated, "I'm ready to fight whenever they give me the date. I didn't watch Crawford Madrimov. If we get that fight, I'd love it, but right now we have a different path. They'll announce it for you guys. Everybody wants to announce everything like they know the information before me, so I'm not even gonna say anything." With that fight off the table for Crawford, assuming Spence does make it official, fans will call for him to face Jaron Ennis. Boots picked up the IBF welterweight world title when Bud vacated, but says he is willing to move up to make the fight. As the debate heats up, the boxing world watches closely. With Crawford's fiery response, Turki Alalshikh's candid remarks, and Canelo Alvarez's resistance, the future of these high-profile matchups remains uncertain. Which side do you agree with? Canelo's cautious approach, Turki's push for big fights, or Crawford's drive for challenging bouts? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.